The Galactic Senate has launched the Transgalactica Decree. All able-bodied crew in the galaxy must take on the task of expanding its boundaries. Great riches will come through exploring new planets, sharing knowledge, and establishing trade outposts. But reaching out to the unknown is not always an easy task. So each fleet must be ready to face conflict, both on the battlefield and in the dizzying heights of space politics. Or tracks. In order to thrive in this game and obtain the most VP, you will travel the far reaches of the galaxy. Improve your fleet's influence at all galactic matters, tracks. Compete with other fleets for technological advancements, tracks. Build a commercial network. And possibly even send representatives to the Galactic Senate to claim political advantages. May the best spacefarer win. Tonight on the board, boys.
Transgalactica.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Board Boys Podcast, Season 16, Episode 12. Today on the docket, Transgalactica from Devir Games. This is your board boy. May the Schwartz be with you, Rob.
They're coming out with a new one.
I know.
Yeah,
we talked about that last episode.
Oh, yeah, okay. I haven't listened to it yet, so I have not had a chance. This is your board boy, Tracks, TK.
This is your board boy, lots of errata, Jake.
Tracks on tracks on tracks.
It's like the Shot song. Tracks.
Yeah, I bet, man, we get Little John to sample that for us.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, and then we can get our episode taken down.
Yeah, that'll happen. You will notice on this episode, we're going to probably have some new Board Boys music that we own. So
yes, thank you, Fiverr.
Yeah, thanks, Fiverr. It cost me like $40.
Okay, yeah.
So we got $40 worth of music.
Yeah, so we got rights management on Civolution, right?
Yeah. Yep. So, long story short, I'm probably going to have to get the Civolution episode back up and publish it as like a 6.5 or something if we want it to show up on Spotify again.
How about
because
6.0001?
I think it's in the whole of, even though I fixed it, they may, how much time do I really want to spend trying to get an episode back on Spotify?
I mean, it is our highest Boinged episode.
It's true.
It's the game that broke the scale.
Yeah, it's on every other platform though.
Yeah, but like, it's not Spotify.
That's true.
You know?
So,
I mean, according to Cam's rules about the diminishment of Boings, I don't think we can ever have that again. Even after,
it's true. If I leave it off though, that means my 4 Boing didn't really happen.
Yeah, so you can just 4 Boing another game. Okay, there you go. If it didn't happen on Spotify, it didn't happen, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so you just...
If Spotify is the official source of truth for Boings.
Yes. And then, so therefore, you never 4 Boinged a game.
Right.
Yeah. Perfect.
This logic seems sound to me.
Yeah, I mean, as sound as the logic of talking about 4 Boings in that episode anyway, right?
Also true.
Yeah, so I guess we probably shouldn't put Aerosmith on any of our episodes again. So
yeah, Aerosmith really doesn't like you to use their music.
That's Steven Tyler.
I bet he's just at his house right now cursing the Board Boys.
I would think that he probably is personally listening to every podcast episode just to make sure they don't use any kind of Aerosmith songs. So,
or they got some AI bot doing it.
Yeah, probably.
Or they personally have hired somebody to just listen to all podcasts to make sure that no Aerosmith songs are used.
It's actually very specific. It's just podcasts about board games from Iowa, and that's all that the Aerosmith listens to.
Man, why don't they should join our Patreon.
They should join our Patreon. Yeah. Like we already had to pay $40 because of you guys. So yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, cool new music this episode. Thanks the dude on Fiverr, whose name I can't remember right now.
It's probably John.
John?
Yeah.
No, he's from a different country. Not that other people... Marcelo F.
Okay.
At Reset Cube Studio, if you're interested. He's really nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
All right, well, let's talk about some board games we've been playing, or not playing, I guess. Tim, what do you want to talk about?
All right, I want to talk about this is a video game that is board game adjacent.
Okay.
It's basically a board game that's a video game. It's called Sunderfolk. It is a RPG style board game. It is a lot like Gloomhaven. So you have a D&D party, I guess. You kind of pick your characters, and you run missions using cards. semi like Gloomhaven, except for you don't discard, and your cards kind of you run your cards straight down. So like if it's move 3, attack 4, move 2, you would do all those in the order. It's, I don't know, quirkiness is that you play it between both your system and your phone, i.e. like Jackbox Party Pack. Those kind of games. So you QR code into the game, and then your character is on your phone. So you select your card, you change your your gear, you update everything that you need to do on your phone, and then you take your turns on your phone, and then the map and everything is on your TV. We're playing it as a family. It is very fun. It's super fun. It's got good digital board game vibes. I have not played digitally Gloomhaven yet. Have you?
I have not.
No, I've heard it's really hard though.
Oh, really?
And it doesn't let you cheat and just go forward after you fail a mission in the last.
Oh, yeah.
Back to my thinking when I played Gloomhaven, I'm like, yeah, we won that.
I'm not doing that again. Yeah, spend 3 hours going through the same scenario.
Right.
Yeah, like
I understand what just happened there. There's 300 more scenarios.
Yeah, I would say we did not lose a bunch of scenarios in Gloomhaven. I would say we won multiple scenarios on flipping a card at the end, whether it was good or bad, so like a monster card had to be a -2 and that would flip, that kind of thing. But
it looks like that game's on most platforms.
Yeah, Steam. We're playing it on Switch, like so, but it was, I don't know, it was probably $40. So
I mean, I'm all about like I don't know. I kind of got out of video games when it kind of went all online, multiplayer. Like I used to play video games because I liked couch co-op type things, and like I don't want to play a first-person shooter online against a bunch of 12-year-olds that are going to sit there and smack talk me or whatever.
Yeah.
Plus, I can't play first-person shooters anymore because I get sick.
Yes, because you're in your 40s. Yeah. Yeah, this is very like couch co-op. I think you could probably, I assume you could probably play with friends online via like someone shares their screen over some sort of video chat, and everybody like...
Yeah, I mean, we've done that with Jackbox before.
Everybody,
like, during
exactly
COVID, we did a lot of Jackbox online.
Yeah, exactly the same. So you just QR code into the game, and
only one person actually needs the game.
Correct.
That's kind of like Bo and I just finished playing Split Fiction, which is a really fun 2-player couch co-op style game where one player is playing an author of sci-fi, the sci-fi genre, and one is playing as the author of fantasy genre, and you go back and forth playing levels based in those worlds. I don't know, because I don't play a lot of video games now, but man, they do some really crazy, wacky, cool stuff, switching up the mechanisms between the levels and really making you have to work together and like communicate. And I think it had like 12 to 15 hours of total gameplay in it, and it was really fun. We ended up picking up the 2 other games in like a pack for like $15 from the same company.
Are they all like...
One is about breaking out of jail.
But they're all co-op 2-player. Okay.
Same exact thing. And then one of them is like... I haven't played it yet, but the theme is... It Takes Two, I think is the name of it. And it's something
I played that one. The parents getting divorced.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like they're going through like therapy or something like that.
Yeah.
Kind of. Okay. I don't know. Bo's been playing that one with his friends. So
I played that one with Nora, my daughter, and that was fun. She enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah. Split Fiction was really, really good. And it makes me just want to go back and like, we used to try to play Overcooked with Bo when he was younger. Like that's a really fun couch co-op. So might do more of that kind of thing.
I would highly suggest Sunderfolk. It's really fun. It definitely scratches the like board game vibe without having to like, get it on. But you need
another device on top. So like you don't really even use the controllers.
No.
Like once you're in the thing, you don't even really need the controller anymore. It's all on your phone.
It's all on your phone, yeah. Yeah, so like
just like Jackbox, I suppose.
Yeah. So you like you fight the mission or whatever, there's a city that you go back to. Like everybody has their own, you can go into your own buildings and like buy your own equipment and stuff. And then once you're ready, you go select a mission and then wait for everybody to kind of queue up. But
I'm sure we will probably check that one
Remington
out.
uses his iPad, right? Like so you can use any kind of mobile device would let you.
How long do you think the total game is going to be?
I mean, we're probably 15 to 20 hours in, and I think we're about halfway. So it's probably, 30, 40 hours maybe. We have not failed a bunch of missions, but
says it's typically 20 to 30 hours.
Yeah, okay.
Tim, so I have a question. When you like this because it gives you board game vibes, but you don't like when there's apps in board games. So what is the disconnect?
Yeah, so I like to just play the board game, right? Like for the most part, I don't want to sit and listen to a story. It depends on the app because there's definitely some like I liked Dark Tower
Yeah.
because the app was not really intrusive, and I did not like My Father's Work because the app I felt like you spent most of your time playing the app, where this is like playing a board game on your Switch.
Have you played Destinies yet?
I have not played Destiny.
I think you would like Destinies. It's more on the Dark Tower front.
Yeah.
That is an interesting competitive kind of RPG type thing where you're trying to complete your destiny as a player.
Yeah,
We'll have to try that sometime.
This feels way more like playing on Tabletop Simulator than it does playing like a video game, if that makes sense.
I get that.
Yeah. So, Sunderfolk. It's fun.
Jake?
I only want to talk about one thing, and I have finished all of the solo campaign for the Anarchy, so I just thought I would kind of come back and talk about that again. It's actually 20 missions long, which is more than Hadrian's Wall, which was 16. And so I feel like, I still really, really, really enjoy the Anarchy. I think it's a wonderful game, and I think in a lot of ways it's a big improvement from Hadrian's Wall. Although the more that I have played it, I've started to think that it might be too easy to finish things of what the missions tell you to do. So, for instance, in Hadrian's Wall, it tells you, you need to complete X amount of buildings, and it usually takes you most of the game to be able to do that. And in the Anarchy, because the right side is just the right board, or the right sheet, I guess, of the two you have, the way that it's designed, it doesn't take long. So it was really frequent where I would just kind of stockpile stuff, and then in a whole round, I would just completely complete one of the things on the right side. And over time, I guess I felt like it didn't give me that full strategic itch the way that a lot of the Hadrian's Wall campaign did. I still really, really enjoyed it. There's a lot of unique things they add to it. Like there's a whole deck of cards, and it's changing the outcomes of the things that you have to do. And I still think that all in all, I like the Anarchy more than I like Hadrian's Wall, which again, these are both really, really, really high ranked games for me. But I think maybe I am a little bit lower on it than I was originally, but it's still really, really wonderful. Again, if you like doing solo things that don't require a bot that you have to operate, I really don't think that there are better options than Hadrian's Wall: The Anarchy. So I did finish it. I haven't played it for a while now, but it's I've been tracking my games through BG Stats for like 3 years now, and it is my second most played game now outside of, and Hadrian's Wall is my number one. So it certainly has built its way up to in number of plays. So I still highly recommend it. If you like Hadrian's Wall, you definitely should find a way to give the Anarchy a shot.
It looks like it's just came to retail too.
Oh, it did? Okay.
Yeah. I saw it at Dungeons Gate.
Yeah.
So
it's in the wild.
So now if you didn't back it on Kickstarter, you can go get it. Do you still think it's a 3 for you?
Definitely. There, no doubt. Yeah.
I mean, you played it 20 times.
Yeah, but I don't know. You said you didn't like it as much.
I think I've waned on it. But I mean, again, Hadrian's Wall was a top 10 game for me. And so I immediately was just thinking, well, the Anarchy is just going to supplant Hadrian's Wall in that spot. And I don't know. I think I'm just going to keep them with a slash between them now in my top 10, because I mean, they're the same designer, and they're very similar, obviously, in what it is that you're trying to do and how the gameplay works. But yeah, definitely still a 3 Boing for me.
I feel like there's very few games that I could play that many times in like a short time span and then like feel like still going back and doing it again.
I mean, somebody said I want to play the Anarchy. I'd be like, okay, I'd want to play it. It's just, I don't know. There's just something about those games that I don't get tired of. I don't know. So that's me.
Cool. I have a couple to talk about. I talked about one last time. I have another small box game from All Play that came in the last Kickstarter bundle. This one's called Oddland. It is by Dan Schumacher. Artist is Cam Kendall, and it is by All Play. And in Oddland, this has a really wacky little aesthetic, and the box is basically a bunch of these square cards with different terrains on them, and on your turn you're putting a terrain down next to another terrain tile, and you may overlap them if you want with some different rules, and then you always place a little animal on the board somehow, and each animal will have a different way to score, and that can change from game to game. You can switch out the scoring things, and after you basically get, I think it's like 8 total turns or something, because every turn you're putting a card out and placing an animal. And once it's done, you basically just score the board and score where everything is at. I've only played it at 2 players, and it was fun. It was quick. I mean, All Play does a really good job with these small little box games.
How big's the box?
Just like all their other little square boxes.
Okay, so
like things and rings.
Okay, yeah, so like or Sequoia or
yeah,
like,
it's
pies,
their basic square cube box.
Yeah, as you described it, I was thinking the box was like the size of like Cascadia.
Nope, it's much. Yeah, it's in there. All the games that I got are the little square cube boxes that they got. So, yeah, Oddland was cool. It's and it plays up to 5 players. So, if you kind of like, it does give me Cascadia type vibes in that way, except for you're all competing against each other on the same board. So you can like screw with other people's stuff by like overlapping it or changing different things on the board, which is kind of interesting. So if you want a meaner version of Cascadia, Oddland. I want to talk about the Rebel Princess Deluxe Edition Happily Never After expansion. We got to play this on Tuesday. It's coming out from Bezier Games, and I think we've already talked about Rebel Princess. It is hearts on steroids. Everyone has a special ability based on their princess, and you play 5 rounds, and every round has a different rule. Well, this expansion comes in a cute little book box. So it's basically this little thing, and it opens up and it looks like a book. It just comes with 2 more princesses, Red Riding Hood and the Swan Maiden, and it comes with 6 more tarot round cards, and it gives you an extra score pad. So if you've played this game a ton, you get another score pad. We played basically with all the new cards just because we were like, hey, we want to check out the new stuff. And we played with the new princesses. I'd say it's more of the same here. Like the new cards, some of them were wild. I really liked them. And so this is a really great more of expansion. I'm going to stick with my recommendation that if you're buying Rebel Princess, spend a couple extra bucks to get the deluxe edition, because the expansions are only going to be compatible with the deluxe edition going forward.
Yeah, the deluxe edition has the cardboard.
So it's got cardboard princesses and the tarot round cards. If you buy the regular version, they're all normal card-sized things, and they're just like one deck of cards, essentially.
Yeah, it sounds terrible.
Yeah, I mean, you got to keep your princesses separate from the other cards and all that jazz.
Reading the round card from across the table is pretty important.
Would be a little harder for sure.
I liked the expansion. It's just more of the same.
Yeah, which is like my favorite expansion stuff. It's just more variety, right? And then lastly, I know we talked about this last time, but I've been able to play it with Tim. So I want to talk about Toy Battle again, because I've played like all the maps now.
How many maps are there?
8.
Okay.
And Toy Battle is from Repos. The designer is Paolo More and Alessandro Zucchini. The art is Paul Maffion. Man, if this game isn't in the running for Spiel des Jahres next year, I can't believe it wouldn't be. This, unless it's like it doesn't get printed in Germany or something. This game is so fun, and it plays in like 10 to 15 minutes, and you can teach it to anybody. On Tuesday night, there was this family at Dungeons Gate, and this little boy was like watching. Well, I was going to play with Bo, then Bo had to go, and then I taught them King of Tokyo, and then I was packing my stuff up, and he's like, oh, I want to play that game. So I taught him and his mom how to play. And I think they must have played like a half a dozen games
4
of
or 5
it
times, yep.
while we were sitting there playing ours, and they gave it back to me. The only thing that I think is weird, they should have just included the little star score track thing. Like you see that on BGA. That was like a promo.
Okay.
So like, I don't know why that wouldn't just come in the box. It's 4 pieces of cardboard.
Mm-hmm. So where do you keep the stars?
You just hold on to them, and when you hit the limit, because the limit says on the board. So depending on the map, you're playing to 5, 6, or 7 stars, and then depending on based on the map, you're supposed to take those little cardboard things and flip them to the correct thing, and then you can put the stars on them. And then if you get to the middle star, you win, or if you capture the base, you win. I'm just finding like there's like so many layers of strategy to it, and it's really simple. And like the map, we played the Rainbow Road map. That's what I'm calling it a couple of times now, where like the middle spaces let you draw an extra guy, but like every time you do that, you get an extra guy. There was a map where one side had 2 bases and one side only has 1 base. So I'm not sure how the balancing thing is, but there's no special other thing on that map. there's just like a little tweak to every map that makes it different. And the box is like really small and like easy to travel. Like this would be a really good like pub game too. I can't say enough good things about this game.
Yeah, it's really fun. There was the map where you can only place like bigger numbers in certain spots, which I thought was cool.
Oh yeah, like the water map where you can only put like certain spots can only hold like 6 and 7 or 3, 4, and 5.
The duck, the rubber ducky, or the rubber ducky, which goes on top of any card or any spot or any other.
But
army.
anybody can go on top of that.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, you didn't read the rules. We played on BGA. I like gave you a 3-sentence instruction, and like you just knew what.
The only thing I couldn't figure out was I kept thinking I was getting was going to get stars, and I never did. And come to realize like how the map is laid out, you could. Sometimes you don't really exactly see the whole area that's supposed to enclose to get the stars. So without like really paying attention to it. But other than that, once I figured that out, it was easy.
Yeah, man. I can't recommend Toy Battle enough.
How much is it? $20?
25, I think.
It's
and
worth it.
You get 4 different maps, or you get 4 2-sided maps.
Yeah.
And I think this goes up there with like, this has a similar aesthetic to Duck and Cover.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Which I'm also really liking. So I don't know. And I think they could just release like another set of dudes or another set of maps, or I bet this game will have like an expand alone type of thing, which will be like a new game.
Like challengers.
Yeah. Like why couldn't this be like the 2-player challengers? Oh man, this should be like a dealt hand tournament.
Yeah.
Or like maybe I'll run a Board Boys Toy Battle tournament.
Sounds awesome.
At Cardboard Caucus. I mean, Des Moines Capital City Gaming Show.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. We should do that.
That'd be tight.
Yeah, Toy Battle.
I just need a lot of copies of Toy Battle.
I'm sure we can figure it out.
Or everybody can just play it on BGA.
Yeah, we just do a BGA tournament. We'll run that before.
We'll run that in the Discord.
Yeah, and it can take another 3 years like our other tournaments.
I think a Toy Battle tournament should not take that long.
Yeah, we'll see.
Since you can knock out a Toy Battle game in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think I'm still in like my first round game of one of the tournaments that started like 3 or 4 months ago. So, but I am playing.
We're in the 3rd round of that.
I don't know. I'm playing Orleans.
I'm in a viticulture. Early odds. I'll see you in 2027.
Yeah. We're in round 18, so we're.
Oh, so you're almost.
We're almost done.
My Terraforming Mars game is almost over.
Yeah, so I thought I was in a Terraforming Mars tournament game, and I won the game. Turns out that was not my tournament game. So,
I was in a Terraforming Mars game where I just passed all the time. And I still scored 25 points.
Yeah.
How do you score points in that game if you don't do anything?
I think you score points from getting money, right? So you probably just kept getting money, right?
I had 25 points in money.
Probably. You had like $700. Yeah. That'd be my guess.
Yeah, I just got to the point where like at the beginning of the game, I'm like, I really don't remember how to play this game. But Cam has conditioned me to not decline a thing because that just throws a random person in there. And so I was like, fine, I'll try it. And then 2 turns in, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I don't want to figure it out. I'm like, I'm pretty sure if I pass, I won't really hurt anybody.
Yeah.
And I don't think I did.
No.
If I did, I apologize.
I was probably in that game, so.
I think you probably were.
I think it's the one I won, so, thank you.
You can thank me for not getting in your way.
I wish it was my tournament game.
No, I'm in a tournament game of viticulture that is a little too slow for me because every time I get to my turn now, I'm like, I don't know, click. Yep. So we'll see how I do in that one. Plus, BGA only has the baseboard viticulture, which I'm like, I cannot not play the expansion board.
What's funny is anymore. I learned viticulture with Tuscany, but I don't know that I've ever played Tuscany again since then. It's been base one since the first time I learned it with the expansion.
Well, you learned it the right way. I'm sorry you've been playing the base game of viticulture.
I like the base game.
The 4 Seasons is pretty good. All right, so tonight on the podcast, we played Transgalactica from Devir Games. It came out in 2025. It is from Daniele Tascini, and the art is Edu Valls. And in Transgalactica, you're traveling beyond the known space and compete in different fields to surpass your rivals. It is 2 to 5 players, best at 3 or 4, 100-minute playing time, ages 14 plus. The weight is 3.5 out of 5. It is currently 6.8 on Board Game Geek with an overall rank of 12,085. 6.8 might be the lowest score for a game we've ever reviewed.
No, the game you guys hate has to be lower, right?
Oh, maybe.
The one that was on sale for like $5 on Amazon, and you were like,
Windward?
it's still not worth it.
Besides Windward, this might be the lowest rated game, which is weird.
I believe it.
It just came out.
Hey guys, Windward at the time was a 7.3.
Whoa.
Yeah, so a whole half a point.
Yeah, I don't think we've reviewed a game this low.
I don't.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah,
we have one.
We have not reviewed a game that was in the 6s. Period.
No. It's only got 121 ratings, though.
That's pretty low.
Yeah, this is by far the lowest.
I mean, it literally just came out retail. So in Transgalactica, we're all these alien races doing alien things out in space. And there are 8 different actions you can do. One of them is a wild action where you can do everything else. But the main crux of the game is everyone has a big worker and a small worker. Well, multiples of them. And the big workers do the main actions, and then everyone can follow that main action with the small action. You can travel around and build outposts. You can get technology. You can go up this diplomacy track and get these contracts. You can go up the production track and produce more stuff on all your planets. You can go up the battle track and be higher on that. At the end of the round, you get more points if you're ahead, or you lose points if you're behind on that one. You can go up the trade track, which will give you more income and the ability to get more technology. Try to go around the board. I think the last one is the mining track, the mining action. And on that one, the main action is get a tile to put on your little board. And I will say the player boards on this are pretty cool. They've got all kinds of different areas on them. And then you get to run all of your mining tiles and run any mining planets out on the board. You do this over 5 rounds. At the end of the game, there's some end game scoring you do. And the person with the most victory points wins. Let's get to the table and come back with our thoughts on Transgalactica. All right, we are back. Initial thoughts time on Transgalactica. For me, I originally saw that this was a Tascini game, and I'm like, all right, awesome. It's from Devir. He hasn't done a game with Devir yet. And I just thought the whole space aesthetic looked kind of cool. So this was definitely up my wheelhouse to try. Plus, it has a lot of tracks on those boards. So I'm in.
Basically nothing but tracks on that board.
I mean, every action is basically a track, and some of them are tracks inside of tracks.
I guess for me, my first thoughts, the box looks really nice upon seeing it. You know, it's got kind of the highlighty type coloring that, I don't know how I'm trying to say, like a gold viewpoint on it. I mean, it looks nice. So I guess, and then I know that, you know, Tascini obviously has made a lot of games that are good. So I was interested in trying. I think the first time I played it, I was definitely pretty underwhelmed. But Rob and I just played it at 2 players, and so then I thought, well, maybe that's probably determining my experience, and I will enunciate more on how that potentially changed as we go deeper.
Yeah. So the only thing I knew about this game was what the two of you kind of said after your first play. So I did not have a lot of high hopes walking into this. I don't think either of you really loved your 2-player game. So I don't know. We'll go from there. But I did not think this game was going to be very good, especially at like a 6.8. So
yeah,
I thought it was going to be very weird.
I do want to kind of look through some of these reviews, but I have some feelings on why I think it's so low.
I think it is artificially low right now as a result of some of the production issues and rulebook issues. But
all right, well, let's go ahead and get into some pros. I think the thing I really like the worker placement action selection. So I like how the big workers do the main actions. They're the better, juicier ones. And I guess during the explanation, I didn't explain the follow action is generally just a worse version of the main action.
Worse or more expensive, right?
Yeah, it's either worse or more expensive because some of them are free to do. But instead of getting like 2 track bumps, you get 1 track bump. Or like 1 track bump and a card. or you have to pick between those two things. So
like the trading one is and the military one are the same benefit. It's just that it's cheaper. Or sorry, it's cheaper to do the big action and it's more expensive to do the follow. I think the following mechanism is really interesting. There's not a ton of games that do that. And so I think that adds an interesting layer of, okay, when do I want to follow? And you have a very limited number of follow actions you can do, especially at the beginning. Now, there are ways that you can try to increase the quantity of the smaller workers that you have that's going to enable you to do that more frequently. But there's definitely some tough choices to be made about when is the right time to do something. And even if you really want to do an action, the timing could be bad, which makes the action not beneficial for you. So I think that's a fun element of interactivity that comes in a game that's pretty Euro-esque outside of that. So that's a nice wrinkle.
Yeah, and I think the worker economy is interesting because as you gain more little workers, you pull them out of cryo, you lose income, but you have the ability to follow more people, which is ultimately more important in a higher player count game. But you also then, if you built outposts on the board, so the three things you can do on your turn is pass, place one of your big guys on a main action, or place any of your workers on a planet that has an action space on the board where you have an outpost. So as you get more of those, then if you have outposts on the board, you have more things to do with your little workers. And if you have more little workers in a higher player count game, you have more options for people to follow because there's 8 total things on the board. And like today, in a 3-player game, only 6 of those 8 main actions were ever used every time. So there was 2 that were not going to get followed every round. In a 4-player game, every action on the board is going to get hit, so you could follow everything. And then in a 5-player game, there's not more action spots. I haven't played it at 5. I played this at 2, 3, and 4, which I guess today when we played with 2 players, you get 3 big guys, and in every other player count, you get 2. So I guess in the 2 and 3 player count game, 6 of the 8 actions always are taken. So with 4, you're going to be able to follow any action you want on the board if you wait for somebody to do it. Whereas today you couldn't do that, which is an interesting wrinkle. Like if you know you need to do something.
Yeah, that's so. I wonder if in the 5. Well, I mean, I guess it's not. I wonder. I'm sure that in the 5-player game, because the map is bigger and there's more planets, there are just inevitably going to be more action spaces that exist on planets.
Yeah,
and that's to compensate for the.
Yeah, and I guess I didn't go over that, but there's a double-sided board for 3 and 4 players, and then there's a overlay you put on the board for 2 and 5 players, which just changes how many planets total are on the board. And at higher player counts, there's way more planets, way more options, and I think it makes it a lot more interesting. 2-player felt a lot more tactical, and like the planets were a lot smaller, and there weren't as many options on the board. But there's a lot of different planets, and you don't play with all of them. And there's 3 different kinds of planets. There's planets where you go, and if you put an outpost on it, you now have an action space you can use, and those are pretty powerful. There's mining planets where you have an outpost on them, and then if you do the mining action, that will produce for you every time. And then the last type is a wilderness planet where you got to send one of your little dudes out of the game to go explore it, but then you basically have an income the entire game. So exploring or flying around the board and building outposts is a pretty big deal in this game for sure.
Yeah, they were cool too. Like going back to like some of the worker management or like the worker, I don't know, the little big guys, like you get them and you have to put them on those outposts or whatever, and the outposts are really good. So there is quite a lot of, I think we all kind of complained about either like not having enough, or having too many, and like when you can get them and how you can get them is they're not easy to get.
Yeah, we all had our pain points for sure.
So like I really did enjoy hey, how am I going to get a small worker? Because I really want to go place my small worker on a planet, but I don't want to have any, I want to have at least one small worker and not bring myself to 0. And I thought that was cool. And there's you place small workers on, they're like game scorings, I guess. They're a race to 4 objectives. Yeah. There's a race to 4 objectives. In order to claim it, you have to put a little small worker on there. The small workers have to come from your board.
Yeah, your active area.
So you couldn't.
That's the Galactic Senate for end-game scoring.
Yeah, so you couldn't have put it
on the board or
on the board and then put it up. So you can't use them. So you have to have one in your. I don't know. I just thought the management of your small workers are you gonna follow? Do I need one on my board to, because I want to go to this planet and I got to dump them there, or I want to, I'm going to score the 3 purple planets and now I got to put one there. I thought that was the most intriguing part of the game for me.
Yeah,
sure.
like if you go someone to a planet early, then you're down a guy early, but you get more income. Or if you go claim a thing early, it's a really good balance of like, at what point do you unlock guys and then get more guys and mess around with that?
Yeah, and if you end up with, you can't get rid of guys, you can only hold 4 of them.
Yeah.
When you pull them back. So I think
there's 8 total in the game. Yeah.
So there is definitely a chance, and I unlocked all 8 of them. So there's definitely a chance where if you don't find a way to get rid of them, you're just gonna have to dump them anyway. And they're such a big resource of the game. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what happened to me the second time I played. Was I was unlocking them, and I'm like, I can't get rid of them because I wasn't focused hard enough on getting the objectives done to get those.
Yeah,
and just how it worked out, I wasn't aiming for the wilderness planets to get them out of the game that way either.
I think the way the objectives are set up in the fact that there are 4 that are visible, and then actually when you score them, you can choose which spot to slot it into is interesting. That isn't something that usually exists. Usually, there's just a pretty clear reward for you, so you know what you're going to get when you obtain them. But because there is that utility to slot it into the point total or action that's going to be beneficial for you, that can be a nice boon that you're getting unexpectedly. So it's the high end is just 9 points, which works its way down to, I don't know, 5 points is maybe the lowest one, but then there's a better action there that's accompanied with it. So it's a nice way that you can kind of manipulate to maybe even get more than what that high point total is. And that's a pretty interesting decision and bonus that comes from that.
Yeah. It doesn't make it. It makes it makes you feel good getting rid of a worker to, score that thing. I think it would be tough to score it and get rid of a worker, and you just got this one, I don't need to do this action. If it was fixed, if that's what,
yeah.
So I thought it'd be good.
I really I think the replayability on this game is fairly high due to all the different avenues you can go down to. I mean, because there's 8 different actions, 7 real different actions, there's 7 different kind of parts of the game that you can go down. And in a lot of those, they're different. So the technology has 3 different levels of technology, and you only play with 3 of each of those every game. And there's probably
6 or 7 extra in each deck, probably.
At least.
Yeah.
And then I guess the contracts, you kind of go through those every game, but you won't see all of those every game either. But then the way the planets are laid out are always going to be different. There's always going to be planets you're not going to see, so there's extra planets. There's different end game scoring stuff. I think that's yeah, and how the pirates get laid out there, I guess.
You're starting.
Sometimes there can be easier or harder pirates out there that you need to fight.
You're starting diamond. Did you say that? Your little.
Oh, and then there's a ton of player powers, and we only got to pick out of 3 of them this game, and there's probably 10, 12.
So you draft a player power and a set of starting resources. Yep. So,
and today I realized, maybe draft your starting resources before your player power sometimes if you don't want 20,
your player power was really good.
20 aliens. Yeah, it was okay. I think it would have been way better in a 4-player game where all the spots were taken up every time. I didn't use it for the main action hardly ever. I used it for my player power was basically the Omni wildcard spot where I didn't have to pay extra stuff. I used it for the little guy almost every time.
I would say the timing of when someone takes a main action and you can follow, we kind of said it's a lot it has Twilight Imperium vibes of am I going to follow this? When did someone, set it off?
Because if you've got the stuff to follow.
Yeah, there were multiple times where I wanted to follow something and I just didn't have it. What did not time out right? So I think that was, even putting a little guy is still pretty good. So
yeah,
I like that the tracks are intertwined. I would say on this thing, the tracks kind of remind me a little bit of Federation, where you're taking actions to just bump up 10 tracks or whatever, 8 tracks across the board. These ones are tied to each other. So the red and blue track are tied together. I guess the blue track is standalone, but the green track and
really it's just red has blue requirements. I think that's the only way that they interact with each other.
I mean, the trade track is a track too on your board.
Well,
so
you have to go up.
The green and the purple track interact with each other,
and you have to go up the green track to be able to score more mining tiles. I guess that's
And
not really a track, and income. So the yellow track's not really tied to. Well, the yellow track is tied to the purple action because you want more planets to do the like. So they're all kind of. They have another semi component to them, which I thought was interesting. It wasn't just
technology can just make other things better based on what's out there.
Yeah.
Some of the technology is like instant effects, which are really cool. Some are ongoing, which is also cool. Like getting a whole extra action out of one of those like level 3 things is pretty tight.
I don't know. I like that it wasn't just you just bop up the track and there was there were some gates there where if you're not doing a couple other things, you kind of get stuck a little bit. So you want to move into prawns or cons?
I mean, there's a ton of those red and blue tiles too that are kind of variable and that you can shoot for. I do like the fact they're face up.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you can't. A lot of times, if they're face up like that, it's like look through the pile and pick one. This one, you just got to take what's on top, which is a choice, I guess. To decide, man, do I really want that tile right now or not?
Right.
Kind of a thing.
That just feels like that was they decided we don't want to add another decision to this turn for speed.
Which I think is fine. Otherwise, people are going to be digging through that thing looking for what they want. Although there's only like 2 or 3 tiles, but
I mean, for me personally, I think I would rather see you be able to look through and grab the one that you want. I just think getting there first is you should get rewarded for that.
That's true. I mean, you're getting rewarded for it in other ways, I guess.
Yeah, but there could end up a spot where it's like everybody's like, I don't want, like I'm going to wait for Rob to do that, and everybody this cold war of like not moving up a track. I guess that would be fine, but it feels like
so many other reasons to be up those tracks anyway, though.
But like I would say, I went up a track, I got $1, and then one underneath was unlocking a small guy, which is infinitely better because I would have turned that small guy into a track bump.
Yeah.
For 4 rounds instead of having to wait, So
that's true.
Yeah. All right, cons. You want to start with the big one that everybody? I'm reading through these ratings too. So,
I mean, the biggest con is the production and the rule book. There's already like a 4-page FAQ that you can download from Board Game Geek. Learning this game from the rules was rough. I do not like the rule book at all as far as how it's laid out. Also, the setup section of the rule book is heavily messed up for the FAQ. I mean, not heavily, but understanding how to set the game up was a chore the first time we did it. And just in general, I mean, now that I played it a couple times, I get the iconography, but the layout just isn't that good. A lot of the tiles are kind of open. A lot of things in this game feel open to interpretation. It really needs a version 2 of the rule book. It also, the Galactic Senate spots on the board are free, and they didn't print that on the board. So that's a pretty big miss on that.
And not only that too, but the dollar component of the second person going to a Galactic Senate seat is just from looking at that, you would very much assume that the second person needs to pay the first person, and that is not what it means.
Yeah, they just take one.
Yeah, there are a lot of instances where it is very not clear. And then not only that too, but when you're building, your outpost on planets, when you actually get the reward versus when you don't, that's something that I asked almost every single time.
Yeah, I wish.
Which is it again?
I don't think it would have been that big of a deal. I think there's a couple of goofy things. One is you get at the end of those tracks, it seems really crazy that you get the points and you get the points again, like especially if you bumped it during income, which I mean, I guess you get basically in this game, whenever you get something that has an income symbol, you get it again. And I think the main point of that is otherwise it'd be no real reason to do those things in the last round at all because you wouldn't get anything from them, which is fine. But there's a lot of you get this instantly or you don't get this instantly. And they should have just made it all the same way. Like you should just always get the mining thing when you get the mining thing. The blue tiles that go on your mining track, you don't get that when you take the tile. It just goes on your mining track and then you get it when you mine. The mining planets, you get the stuff when you mine or when you build an outpost on the planet, you get what's on that planet.
But you don't get that. What's an action?
But you don't get that when you and you don't get that when you put the tile on your mining track on your board. I think they should have just leaned one way or the other. I don't think it would have been a big deal just to say you always get the stuff all the time for all things. And that would just be easier.
And there's really no place iconography that tells you those things. You just have to know them. That these are the instances where you get it. And Rob's point, if it's the same as for every situation, then that doesn't matter. But there's definitely not any place you can just look to know that. I mean, no player aid, or there is a player aid, but it doesn't go into that.
No, the player aid actually is pretty good.
For between turns, most definitely. It gives you a nice order of complete these things.
Yeah, one side it tells you what all the actions are and tells you what page number to go look at them. So I like that. And then the other side, it basically has the whole game structure, and I like that. I'll throw back to the pros, I guess. I do like the player boards, and they have some stuff printed on the player boards, and like there's a place for everything. The only thing that's maybe kind of confusing on the player boards is maybe the trade section of how that works, and also a little con might be how they do the little diplomacy marker. That's kind of ambiguous how that works. I mean, like, it's easy to know how it works, but to me, it's ambiguous which way you turn it and where it goes. And like, there's no recessed spot for that. Like, they should have made that a recessed spot where you just put that as you go down, because it kind of just sits on top of all those tiles and floats around there.
Well, it's weird too, because the spot where is supposed to be open for inventory, like, you're never actually going to put all your stuff in there. So it seems weird that they even like built a spot to do that. Because if you do it, you're covering up things that let you know what things are what. And
I had to move all my inventory out of there because I couldn't tell which ones.
Yeah.
But it's also way too small when you have stuff, and there's no limits. So when it's that space, it would make me think like, okay, well, I can only hold as much stuff fits in here, but it's not actually the way it works.
I think one time when I played the game, I kept all my stuff in there and it was fine. Like, I just like stacked it up. But for the most part, I just keep that below my board.
Do you want to talk about the stickers? Because I know that has been a common complaint as well, and you are obviously the one who did that. So
I mean, if you don't like stickers, don't put them on.
But there's an egregious amount of
stickers. It doesn't bother me.
But
like,
what about the ones that didn't really stick, though, and you had to...
The outposts are a cylinder, and the stickers go around the cylinder, and there's no way that those will stay on there. Like, I did
like a Band-Aid.
I did
on
all
your finger.
I did all of them,
Yeah.
put them in a bag, and by the time I did the next set, I looked in the bag and they were all uncurled and like holding on to one spot on the thing. Now, I used a little nail polish adhesive stuff that Amy had, and they all stuck. So that was fine. The stickers on the tracks that shows you like, so my pieces are blue, but then I put a red sticker on top of my blue piece for the red track. We actually flipped those over and used the non-sticker side for the tracks. I think that's probably better. It's easier to just look out there and do it. Now, I like all the sticker art for all your player pieces and stuff, because I like, art is
inherently subjective.
Thank you. And I like the art in this game. I like the kind of wacky, trippy space art that's going on in it. And I like how my aliens are different than your aliens are different than your aliens. So I enjoy that part. But if you don't want to, like, if you're looking for screen printed resources here, which they could have done, this isn't it. I don't know the price difference between printing 4 sheets of stickers or whatever it was and screen printing meeples, but
probably significantly more.
Probably.
Yeah.
And when you're already talking like a $70 MSRP game, they're trying to, I get it. And in the rule book, they say the stickers are not necessary. Right. They are just for aesthetics. Yeah. So, and there'll be plenty of people that don't sticker them, but stickering is a cathartic experience while I'm watching TV. So that's just something I just did.
There's a lot of people.
I did all of the Everdell big box, and this wasn't as bad as that. So
yeah, there's a lot of people that, just do it for fun. Like, there's all kinds of sticker sheets and stuff you can get, that people like to do. So go find one of those people and have them put your 2 hours.
Exactly.
I would say, okay, so I'm like flipping through here. There's a lot of on BGG, you kind of talked about it, but there's a significant amount of 1s and 2s and 3s.
Yeah.
Which and there's a significant amount of like 7s and 8s are like the most on there. It's a bunch of 10s, but a theme of the 1s and 2s and 3s is how bad it is to learn the game.
Yeah.
And how bad the rule book is, and how inconsistent it is with how it delivers information.
I would agree with all of those things.
So if you're a person that probably doesn't play a game multiple times, to learn this out of the rule book, I think you would probably be in the sub.
They did hire a very good Devir previously has done, I forget their last game that I watched a video
The
for.
Daitoshi one was an hour.
The Daitoshi video was awful.
Yeah.
The guy that did that was horrible. I think it was like a Devir person. Sorry, Devir.
Yeah.
But they hired Ella and whoever.
Yeah, those two, they review board games and stuff, right?
Yeah. And he does a really, really good job of explaining heavy games. And it's on the longer, I think it's maybe 25, 30 minutes, maybe. I don't know. I watch all videos at like 1.5 speed.
Yeah.
So, especially if I'm learning something like that. And the video does a very good job. That is how I learned all the things Jake and I did wrong in game one.
Yeah.
So on the upside, the video, I would just skip the rule book and watch the video on this one.
Right. And use the rule book for like spot checking what a card does.
On the upside, like the back of the rule book has all the iconography, which is pretty good. And for certain things that don't make sense, it explains the whole thing. And for other things, it tells you exactly what page to go look at.
Yeah. I did like that.
The back of the book, I think, is good. And I think the player aid is good.
And on the player aid,
and they have an appendix of all the stuff in the back. So they have an appendix of all the mission cards and an appendix of all the tech cards, and it's split out by level. So, and it has all the objective cards and wealth cards and galactic decrees and planets and skills. So the back half of this rule book is good.
Yeah.
Like as far as the appendix goes, I have no problems with that. It's mostly how they laid out the front part and how they broke some things out into like different colored section. Like that should have just been part of like the actual rules. And just, I couldn't set the game up properly the first time because the setup's messed up.
I do like that they put the page numbers on not only the player aid, but on the back of the icon. So
yeah,
that's one thing that you can struggle with if you don't memorize a rule book, is like, okay, well, here's this thing. All right, where's it at in the rule book? And you spend like 3 minutes flipping through the pages. That helps you get right to the page.
That is true.
I do like that. Jake, you got any other cons?
Yeah, I guess several. I think for one, it's a 5-turn game, and I think it is too easy to get to the end of the tracks that you're really putting an effort on, because there's so many little income bumps to move up tracks and different ways that you can do that it's not challenging to get to the end of the tracks that you're trying to work on. And so you just do it inherently. And that's not something that I think lends itself to being a game that stays interesting to me, because
I disagree. I can't get to the end of any track.
I put no effort into the 2 tracks that I hit the ends of. I mean, I took one technology and I was at the end of the technology track. So it's especially if you do unlock quite a few of the follow people, some of them are free actions. So just, I'll throw this out and I'll move further on the track, I guess. And so, but I also just,
what part are you talking about?
Like, okay, so like following green or following yellow or following blue, like you can just move up without, I mean, if you don't have a specific utility for that follow guy, you just do it.
Oh, sure.
And so it's not hard to reach the end of that. There's no feeling clever.
But how many technology did you take?
One. That's my point. I got to the end of that track and had one technology. And
but you wouldn't have got to the end of the track if
I
you would
almost
have taken
never,
technology.
I don't know that I ever took the technology action. Like I just did it from follows or from bonuses that I got. So I don't know. I guess I like it when games, they give you that feeling of, I did something that made me, that I feel clever based on what I did. And I just don't think that almost anything you do in this game gives you that feeling. So when you're looking at the board, I mean, for what planets you're going to take, I mean, the benefits are often marginal enough that it doesn't really matter. You're probably going for, okay, which objective is this going to help me score? Or which of my endgame scoring cards you get at the beginning is a better fit for, but there's really not a tactical decision tree of, well, this is why I should take this, or maybe I should take this instead. It's just, that's what I'm going to take, I guess. And I feel like it's kind of the same with most of the things. I even though I really enjoy the way that the objectives slot in and you get things out of this, I really don't like the objectives however, because I just feel like they're super limiting. When Rob and I played a game, it was kill 3 pirates, and there were 3 pirates. So if one person does that, well, that's just not achievable anymore. In this game, I set out for, I'm going to try to get one of each of 3 different contract types, and one just never showed up. So that made that impossible, in which it doesn't matter that it doesn't matter that I wasn't able. I'm not frustrated that I didn't get the points and therefore didn't win. It's just like, it's weird that 25% of the objectives it's telling you in the game, or 50% maybe if certain ones come up, you just might not be able to do because it doesn't work, and that's weird. Like I
mean, only 2 people can do them anyway, right?
But sure, but nobody could do them. Is my point. If we got both that card one and the pirates one, it just could be nobody. And not only that too, but the way that the pirates come out, like, I don't think that I like that. You do one more than the player count, but they're just random where they are. And it could happen to be that the 6-point fighting one, which is really difficult to overcome, is a planet color you need for your card that you score. Like, there's just weird things built into this that I don't enjoy the way that they play out over the course of the game, I guess. And I feel like that shows up about everywhere for me in this game. You just do things without there being a lot of a bigger, and maybe this is just tactical, and that's the way that it is, but that's not true, because you need to think about what you're going to follow and how you're going to play that out. So I don't know, it doesn't leave me feeling like the good feeling I get when I play games and feel good about the things that I did.
So like some of it's the component, it's not like it doesn't all come together for you. It
definitely doesn't all come together, but I just feel like very irregularly are there things that I'm doing that I feel like are interesting. Like, maybe if you are fulfilling one of the green contracts that then lets you take an action, like that turn could feel good. Or if you've accomplished one of those main objectives and you choose one of the ones that gives you less points but allows you to do something else, like working those things together, that could be interesting. But are you going to do that 2 times over the course of this entire game? Like, I don't know. Like, that doesn't seem worth it to me.
I had a bunch of stuff that comboed together, so I did not have that feeling this game.
Yeah, I think my counter to what you say is that is tactical to me, because you can't do that, so then you got to just do something else or go a different way. Or to me, that lends to having to play the game differently, possibly every time, because of those things. Now, I will say there has been times where I felt unfulfilled, like playing, like similar to like, well, I only have 2 big guys and I got a little bit. I don't know. I still have mixed thoughts.
But like,
all in all,
I mean, on that note, the purple track, right? Like, the only thing sure, there's a couple income tiles you slide over, which I also do not love at all. The fact that you just randomly set those up, because if your track one comes up first, that is so much better than either of the other ones coming up. And
I would definitely agree with that.
Like, that's weird, but also like purple does not matter except for like landing on some planets or filling some of those cards. And if you don't care about those things, avoid those planets, don't do those cards, then the purple action is meaningless.
I mean, you can get a ton of stuff if you hammered that and killed a bunch of pirates.
Well, and if you want to do more than 3 technology or two technology,
also if you wanted to get a lot of technology,
you'd have to do the purple.
Like, but you start with 2.
Yeah, so but like
you move it one more time, you get 3.
But says the guy that only did 1 technology. Yeah. What if you want to do?
I had 4 sitting there because
you didn't do technology.
Yeah. But I still got the end of the track. Like that's
but you
that's
didn't
my whole
do technology.
But that's my whole point. Like, it just
you actually when you
went down the track to not do the thing.
I went down the track to fulfill my card that was getting the gray planets, and all of the gray planets required being high on that track. But that's why I did that.
But if you actually get technology, you move less on the track.
Right.
Most of those technologies don't matter. Like, there's a couple that are good actions that you can follow through, but like, minus the level 3 tiers that like give you an action or end game scoring, how much do any of the other ones really matter?
I think it just depends on what you're playing.
Yeah, it
depends on what they were out, what ones were out there.
Yeah,
too. I mean, there was one that gave you points for every card you got.
That's true.
So there's one started with that one.
There was a level 3 that gave you points for every dot that was on a technology.
Yeah, but that would have been trash in this game because nobody had technology.
So, but I mean,
I will say, I think, are we ready to get into final thoughts? I have one more con. The score track sucks.
Yes.
Don't accidentally give yourself half points because there's a spot in between every spot where the points actually are.
So on the track, there's a star with like a banner that has a number in it, and then there's a dot in between.
Yeah.
And the dot is not a point.
Yeah, it's one step above that other game that I hate.
It's a lot of steps above.
It's infinitely better than
I don't know.
Track.
It's only
like we couldn't,
Okay, it's 2 steps.
No, it's way more than that. That's like the worst track in the history of tracks.
There's no bump of that track that just mixes someone plus 10 points, minus 10 points. Like
that's true.
Evenfall, like you just like if you hop a disc on Evenfall, like that is a 10-point swing without even.
That's true.
Yeah. So,
all right. Well, final thoughts time here on the board game pod. What am I doing?
It is a board game podcast.
Yeah. All right. Final thoughts time here on the Board Boys podcast. We have a 3 Boing rating scale, 3 being the best, 0 being the worst. Half Boings are allowed. You can give a 4 Boing rating one time or more than one time at some future point in the world.
Or if you just put protected music on every 4 Boing, episode
true.
you have, then they just go away.
Because that's the Spotify rule.
As many times as you want. Yeah.
All right, Tim, why don't you give us a 0 and a 3 Boing game of Transgalactica?
So a 0 Boing game is you actually don't go anywhere on your tracks, and you decide, I'm actually going to play this game by just moving my ship around, and all you do is spend energy and spin around, and then you end up at a planet.
You play this game terraforming Mars style for Rob, and you just pass every turn.
You pass every turn. You could play this game without just yeeting your little guy out of the gate and never getting another one.
It's true.
That sounds like it. I believe we had a buddy do that. The last game, Jared, right? Yeah, so that would suck. 3 Boing game would be you're Rob, and instead of giving yourself half points, you give yourself 1.5 point every time you move around the track, and then you max on every track. And
for the record, I never gave myself 1.5 points.
Yeah.
Fun fact in this though, Tim offered me a half a point once, and I took it. And then when I had to move a point back later, he's like, "No, you should be up higher." I was like, "No, actually, I need to be back here because you can't be a half point."
You move through, and actually, you go get the box of Federation. You put another 8 tracks out, and you get to the top of 16 tracks at the end of this game.
So many tracks.
Because it's really easy to get to the end of the tracks.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Tim, why don't you go first?
I liked this game way more than I thought I was going to from the two of you guys talking about how awkward and weird it is. I do think it's not as clean as Federation, but for me, it tends to sit in my head like that, where it's just I'm picking an action, and that action is basically how do I get up these tracks all over the place. With the added benefit of like the mining, there's like the 3 spots that don't really have tracks to them. I think it's a 2 Boing for me. I'd like to play it again. I wish the rules were better and the iconography was better, because I think it would be a cleaner game.
Yeah.
So, Jake?
I can go next. I mean, I definitely think theme-wise and track-wise it's reminiscent of Federation, but this doesn't even remotely scratch at similar itches that Federation does for me. And again, that's probably just ultimately aligns to what I look for in games. I have played this twice. The first game with Rob at 2 players I felt like we did even more, because you get another big guy, which is crazy considering you're getting a 33% more increase every single action or every turn. But anyways, I don't know that I ultimately like this version or this game better though. It's a 1.5 for me. I think that there are some interesting components to it, but I ultimately don't care if I play it again.
I care. I would like to play it again.
My thoughts are, I think if this game had cleaner rules and slightly less ambiguous iconography on some things, it's a 2.5.
Yeah, like if
the box I bought though is a 2.
Yeah.
I think it, and I think I'm leaning more towards the 2.5 after my third play, because my first game I crushed it and did everything I absolutely probably wanted to do. Although I didn't get up to the top of everything. The last 2 games I played, I won the last one, and I didn't even make it up like halfway on any of the tracks. This game, I did way less. I did terrible this game. And I still liked it. It makes me want to play more, because I think there's a lot of potential in the stuff. Like, I've never really gone hard into any single thing in this game at all, except for building my outposts, which I think is super important. But like, I think getting a ton of tech would be cool. And then that would just lean into whatever strategy you were going to do. I think there's a lot to like about this one. And there's not very many Euro games that play 5. I have not tried 5. I don't know how crazy it would be at 5, but I wouldn't, with the play length on this one, with the right group, I wouldn't hesitate to try it at 5.
You could not play this game at 4 or 5 if you were a group that had to audit everybody else's turns.
Yeah, or just had somebody with map monster AP.
Yeah.
Honestly, I guess the AP concern would come in the whether I'm going to follow or not, but there's just not that many actions ultimately to do with your big guys. So I don't know.
But like the order in which you do them matters a lot for things that you want to do.
But if you're doing one action and then there's 4 more that happen after you, that's going to take away most of your choices. So you're probably just going to say, what do I want to do most? That's what I'm going to do with my lead guy. So I think the following is where that would get ugly, but I don't know that it would be that much worse AP wise. Personally, I don't know.
I do. I think I think you could definitely have someone that sits and meanders through this whole game and spends, like, you could find, if there were players in your group that AP'd a lot, like, I think they would take 90% of the time of this game and everybody else would take 10. So.
All right. Well, should we hit our look back?
Sure. All right. Who wants to sing the song? Jake?
That is not in Jake's wheelhouse.
Rob?
Baby, turn around. Something, 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 bump.
Or dumb.
There you go. All right, so we're looking back at two games. So we got Skyrise and Cascadero. We like to look back 1 year in the past, kind of see where they were, see if they've gone up, see if they've gone down. So Skyrise was an 8.3 for 5124. It is now an 8.2.
It's an 8.2 on VGG?
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me read the right thing. It's a 7.9, 1796 to 7.7. That's my bad.
Which one?
Skyrise.
It was a bump.
Yeah.
They're both bumps.
Yeah, so it basically doubled. It's 862. And Cascadero was so low when we looked at it. It was 7.5 for 4137. It's a 7.3. They've both gone down in ratings. It's 2001. So you played either of them since then, Rob? I have not.
I definitely have, and my thoughts are the same. They're both really solid.
Yeah, I'd like to play Cascadero again.
Yeah.
I'd like to play Skyrise again, too.
Like, I ended up buying Through the Desert, which is like similar, and I haven't played it yet because I'm like, why not just play Cascadero? So I might have a Through the Desert for sale with expansion and fancy pieces.
I haven't played either since. I'd play Skyrise again, but I don't think I want to play Cascadero anymore.
Yeah, we should just make Jay play like 4 games of Cascadero. All right. So if you want to give us your thoughts, you can do so at our Board Game Geek Guild. You can find that through our website, boardboys.com. So Christopher Boat says Skyrise is fantastic. He loves the Metropolis and Skyrise. Metropolis and the Skyrise add a few nice twists. Breezy, thinky auction puzzle with a bunch of different ways to score points. Easily a 3 Boing for Chris. And then BJ from Board Game Gumbo says he really liked his play of Skyrise. The new Roxley edition is impressive, and the game is breezy, solid play it again, and it's 2 Boings. So that's all the feedback for that.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Board Boys podcast. Season 16, episode 12, Transgalactica. Go to theboardboys.com, find all the cool links out there. You can join our Discord, come play some BGA games with us. You can hit all of our social media links, or you can become a patron. I'd like to thank our patrons now. Hammond McDonough, BJ from Board Game Gumbo, Timothy Crisco, Shifty Teeth, Jordan Smith, Jeff Gray, Andre Bosch, Braden Dowdy, Rob Cooper, Richard Lane, Matt Kelly, Portland Gamecraft, Terry Ward, Jeremy Thoman, and Dom Lankin. Thanks a lot, everybody. Until next time, we hope you like board games.
Boing, boing, boing.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.